Greetings, Wonders.
Greetings. Your name?
My name is Eric.
Greetings, Eric.
My question is there like an afterlife, a life after death?
Yes. The key here is to realize that when you cast off feet of clay, or die, or however you want to call it, you go through a process of reintegration and reevaluation that occurs. And this process of reintegration and reevaluation moves with your soul essence. So as you reintegrate with soul essence, eventually soul essence, being aware of all the choices you've made, not from the perspective of judgment, but simply from the perspective of how one choice led to another choice, which led to another choice, then soul essence will choose to extend itself once again. You see? And so you then, from one perspective, reincarnate again. Do you see? So it's not that there's a heaven or there's a hell. It's not that there's a place for the good ones and a place for the bad ones. And it's not that you can pick whichever place you want to go to. It is more that was a joke, by the way. What, you don't like our humor, dear friends? And then it's more that you move through this process to review the choices you've made in your life. And in this review then, you gain an awareness of how one choice leads to another choice. And of course then you get to come back, and not necessarily immediately from one perspective, because time of course is immaterial to your soul essence, but rather from the perspective that you choose the opportunity for incarnation, and then of course you have free will and free choice once you incarnate.
Yes, also, is there a defining difference between a good spirit and a bad spirit, if there is such?
The only good spirit and bad spirit is the one that is judged by yourself. All spirit is energy, period. So it is the judgment of the ego personality that creates good and bad. Do you see the point?
Yes. Also, just one more question.
Oh, please, continue. Nobody else is asking any.
Is there like a person who can actually feel the presence of someone in the afterlife?
Of course. You could if you chose to. But again, it's a question of opening yourself up, as we said earlier in the previous session, of listening. Do you think?
Yes.
And by listening, we don't mean listening with your ears. It is listening with every part of your being, not just your physical senses. Your sense of awareness, your sense of beingness, your sense of expansion. If you listen with all those senses, you will be able to communicate and be aware of all entities that are in the process of reintegrating with soul essence. Which brings us to a good segue here. Let's talk about ghosts for a moment. This is always a good question, or a good segue. Realize that when you move through, after you cast off feet of clay, through that process of reintegration, reevaluation, if you go in through the process with a great deal of self-judgment, a great deal of fear, most times individuals remain in that third-dimensional reality perspective, not completely physical, but still remaining in third-dimensional reality. So the resultant is they are often perceived as ghosts. Eventually, though, since they are surrounded by soul essence, they will eventually begin to move through the process of reintegration and reevaluation, and that will remove them from that ghostly state into a state of oneness with soul essence. Do you see?
Yes.